I'm in a new location here today. Thought I'd hop on here and do a live at a different time than I usually do. I have the day off. So I thought I would get on here and sit in front of this cabinet. I've purchased a nice big long cabinet to go under the TV and with room for storage for a lot of my things. So my purpose of hopping on here today is I want to do more lives, and I want to talk to you all some more about Vedic science, okay, how it can be applied. If you don't know, my name is Sabrina and I am a mystic. Now, I have been working in the material world as a shamanic witch and a psychic, and I've been on my own healing journey for basically my whole life. I am something of a healer in the sense that really I am a shamanic counselor and a spiritual advisor. Hello. And in getting on to make this live, it asked me to make a title. Can you see it? But it didn't ask me to designate anything else. It just said go live. So as you can see, I'll be talking about my setup here. I might be on here for an hour. I'm hoping to try to explain a few things because I really want to start talking about the path I'm on. I am now on the temple path. I have been for the past year and a half. But this has been a lifelong process of me following breadcrumbs and having things actually shown to me and taught to me. I wanted to make a thumbnail for this video of Lakshmi, all right? So I'm going to be talking about some of our most basic needs. This has been in the news. It's a major concern for everyone. And if people think that Vedic science is only about trying to find some type of enlightenment, or a guru, or an Ishta, or anything else, I am on a tantric path related to Shiva. There's many tantric paths, and I want to start teaching classes, all right, online. But today I'm just going to openly talk to you and share with you a lot of things about Vedic science that you may not know. This is an incredibly powerful and helpful science. It is considered a philosophy, Sanatan Dharma. It's not a religion. I have met some Hindus at the temple who do say they feel it's a religion, and they themselves don't even quite understand their religion. Now, so I don't know how often they've gone. Hello. But we have real basic struggles from time to time. And because of what's been going on in the news with food and SNAP benefits, I have heard there are people that are not getting very much money at all. I don't know what the reasons are. Other people don't have to follow certain kind of guidelines. Myself, many years ago, I felt frustrated at having to take my paycheck to go to the grocery store to buy my groceries all the time. So I started a garden. And it grew. After a couple years, it was very large. And I learned how to really grow a lot of the vegetables that we needed. So there is a positive that can come out of this where we gain some independence. What I have here is an illustration of a setup you might want to consider for the goddess Lakshmi. Now, the goddess Lakshmi is said to be about wealth, right? She's always depicted with coins, gold coins coming out of her hands. But if you think about wealth, what wealth truly was in those days, back then, most people didn't have gold. The gold and the silver was in the palace with the king and the queen and the prince and the princess, right? Their wealth was in their land, their cattle, their seed. We could live without food for a couple of weeks, I think, but we can't live without good, clean water without getting very, very sick for more than a few days. If we don't have water, I think within a few days we die, unless we've got a salt tablet to be licking. So this is a very real thing that we think we just need more money. But if you're pedaling as fast as you can, how are you supposed to get more money? There's no overtime available, or you're at the limit, this and that, preventing you from actually making more money. And food is getting more expensive all the time. I've had to skinny down my garden to putting a few things in pots. And it is frustrating because the weather doesn't last long enough for me to get very much of a harvest in my few pots. You have to reprioritize your spending to buy seeds, to buy seedlings, to buy small plants so that they grow. It's an investment, and it might not pay off in the first season. But I think that it's a worthwhile pursuit, because you're gaining more of a sense of independence, and this leads to self-actualization. All right? This is what had happened to me. I didn't like being dependent on everything and everybody. Money's not the ultimate power. I think food is. Anyway, if anybody comes, fine. If they don't, fine. But I wanted to get on here. I'm going to be giving you actually information about Lakshmi based on my experiences. All right? I want to be teaching classes very, very soon, like within the next weekend, on a particular subject, where you can go to my Ko-Fi account and you can book a class. Right now it's called a consultation, and we can make arrangements to be on Zoom, and we can talk about certain things of Vedic science. What is a mantra? What does it really do? All right, let me explain to you a little something right now. I was led to learn transcendental meditation at the age of 12. All right, I'm not going to say how many years ago that was, but it was a number of years. Now that helped me regulate my emotions as I entered puberty. It is the perfect time to get a child to learn how to manage their thoughts and their emotions. Transcendental meditation. I had gained eventually, after I learned how to stop the monkey mind and have a calm, blissful state of mind, I learned what that felt like. And I remembered that throughout the years. Now, I was not consistent. We did not practice Hinduism. So I got caught up in the modern world for many, many years. However, when I was 19, my father said, you need to take the money you have right now and go to Silva Mind Control. And that's what I did. So there, I learned to take that state of mind and put it to use, where I could visualize, or I could think about what it was that I wanted. All right. And this is one of the things that I want to teach. All right. It has to do with manifesting. Whether it is a friendship with someone at work, better relations at work, or consistent work so that you have the money you need to pay the rent, right? Once I graduated Silva Mind Control, I was able to use this technique to keep myself employed. I was constantly getting called for jobs, and then I would get a permanent job, and I'd have that for a while, and then I didn't want it for a while, so then I'd go back to temporary jobs. I used it off and on throughout my life, and I never really understood what was going on behind it. But if you've been following me at all for this past year, in 2024, I had a life-changing astral experience where I met Vasuki. I met Shakti. She connected to me. She made me realize that all the anxieties I had been through, because I had been learning, had a Q&A sticker for something conversation. Okay, what? Okay. I think I have live chat on. See, it didn't give me a choice. If you hit the heart thing, I should see some hearts coming up. If you're trying to chat, I'm pretty sure I have it on for chat. Welcome to live chat. Oh, hello. Oh, blessed be, namaste. Is that Lakshmi back there? Yes, it is. I'm about to talk about her and my experiences with her. Do you have experiences? I wanted to show my layout, okay? I have a silver-plated tray I got from the thrift store, and I've tried cleaning it with toothpaste. It wasn't really that successful. And then I finally found a campus shell lotus candle holder. Oh, yes, I just started my journey with her. I love her. Oh, I'm getting chills. Thank you for coming. And then I just put a tea light candle in here for the first time ever. I've had it for a few years. Now, this is a little tiny Lakshmi Murti, I guess we call them, at temple. I've been on the temple path for a year and a half now. And I think it's like paper. And as I was gathering my things, I realized that my lotus tea light candle holder, which, by the way, I highly recommend you get one, because when I was burning a candle in this little thing from the Dollar Tree, I began to have a three-dimensional cube come up in my third eye. So I highly recommend the geometric shape of the lotus. And I thought, you know what, I could elevate her here, and I could put her inside the lotus, which is where she's often depicted, right? And then I've got candles here, and I'm sitting in front of my brand new cabinet, which I've been putting together. So I wanted to share my experiences with you, and this is why I came on here first to talk about Vedic science with Lakshmi, because of all of the issues going on regarding food. I know that once we get on some type of system, or we're dependent upon our spouse, it's very scary to try to figure out how in the world to get off of it. But when I was back in 2017, 2018, I was printing off pictures of Ganesha and Lakshmi, and I was experimenting with each one. I would, a couple of times, focus on Lakshmi, and I'd listen to the mantras on my TV. I was getting ready to go to my second job at the grocery store. And there's always a need for food. I'm not an overeater, but I am busy, right? I have an active life. So I was with my teenager, and I had my teaching job, and then I had this second job at the grocery store. And I was called in, and I said, yes, okay, I'll come in. When I got there, the supervisor came to me and said, here's a card for a free dinner, Sabrina. Thank you for coming in. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is like the second time now that I've worked with Lakshmi and I got food. Then I went up to the break room later to sit down and eat my food. And they had big cases of free drinking water on the tables. It said free. I said, I'm all about drinking the free purified drinking water. So I took the case and put it in my car. And I think that was the second time that I had worked with Lakshmi where I had just received food and water. And I said, you know what? I'm really getting the strong, strong feeling that she's trying to show me. She's very, very much about food. Food is wealth. Good food, good clean drinking water, right? Now, I'm learning that if you combine her with other deities, then you're combining two energies where you can get monetary abundance, things of that nature. But I would say right now, if you are working to maintain a sustainable food source, get your freezer stocked, all right? Get your pantry stocked. I would definitely think about chanting to Lakshmi, because this is a very, very old system. I was taught at the Transcendental Meditation House, when I went up to learn Transcendental Meditation, my first mantra. My first mantra was Im. I didn't know it. They didn't tell me, but this is a part of a mantra that actually has to do with intention, okay? So like if you say Shreem or Kleem, intention is in there. And then there's other syllables in front of that. Sanskrit is very old and very powerful. On this channel, which I've had for 8 years now, I have shared my curiosity in many, many traditions and systems and working them. And I've also shared the dreams of the deities that have come to me. I've worked with Oshun. And I've had Oshun and Ganesha together on my altar. And people have asked me why. But I want to save that for what I've just recently learned in teaching a class. Now, if you don't have a statue of Lakshmi, that's fine. You can print off a picture like I did from the internet. Is that what you did, Maria? Is it Maria Sabina? That's similar to my name. Did you print off a picture from the internet, or do you have a statue? Like I said, these little lotus candle holders you can get at the Dollar Tree. Not yet. My journey is recent. I have used my laptop, and kept an image. Oh, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine on the phone, on the laptop. If and when you can, I highly recommend you go to the library and print out a color picture. I think they charge, out here they charge about 20 cents. And then go to the Dollar Tree and get a pretty frame. She would love that. So I'm going to go ahead and give you a mantra that I think is very simple. We do it at the temple. The 2 times that I've been to the Lakshmi event, first time was for families and men and women, and then the women came together for the group chanting. But the second time that I went was just for women. The priest does all of the big speeches, and then he tells us, now you're just going to chant Om Mahalakshmi Namaha. And that's really all you need. If you want to listen to a chant on a video, I recommend that you find one right now if you're trying to gain food, good drinking water, and ask for gifts and favors. Lakshmi, I need food. I need food resources. I need gifts of food, favors of food. I need to stock my freezer. I need to stock my pantry. I don't ever want to be in a position where I don't have enough for me or my family or my children or whatever, right? Or, and also lead me how to maybe plant a few things in pots or in a garden here at home. Om Maha Lakshmi Namaha. Now, if you don't know, Om is the primordial sound of the universe. It is the sound that is said to be heard when scientists listen to the universe. They hear like hum. One way you'll know you're doing it correctly is you'll be tickling inside your lip. Oh. Ma-ha, right? Ma is the earth. That is where our food comes from. I didn't want to catch my hair on fire. Ma, and then ha. I'm not exactly sure what that means. I feel like it's like the breath, right? Breath, bring breath and life to the earth. Om Maha Lakshmi Namaha. Na is water, Ma is earth, and then we have the Ha. I'm learning so much. Fantastic. I felt I should hop on here this afternoon. So once again, Om Maha Lakshmi Namaha. So with the information I've just given you about what those things mean and how to, vibrate them, you are actually contacting the deity when you use a mantra. This is a very, very old system. It is the oldest system, really, that's known to be on the earth. If you want to plug into a magical spiritual tradition, I think there's nothing better because it's been practiced for so many thousands of years by so many people, all right? And every syllable, every letter in Sanskrit holds a particular vibration. It's designed so that when you chant these phrases, you're getting in touch with the deity for what it is that your intention is. So if you were to say at some point, Om Shreem Lakshmi, Shreem has that eem in it, right, which is intention, and Shur, that I don't know what that is yet, guys, but it could be connecting to the subconscious mind. I have chanted Shreem Brazi in the past when I had been told I could receive a certain amount of money. So there, with the eem in there that I was given as a young girl at the age of 12, being intention, by chanting Shreem Brazi, my intention was to get that amount of money that this particular psychic had said they felt was coming to me. I wanted to be able to grab that. I wanted to claim that, so that was my intention. And I believe the word eem inside Shreem is for that. Shreem, Kleem, intention is in there. But right now, I'd say for food, you've got the word Ma for earth, Ha, I think for breath, bring to life, Lakshmi, and then Namaha. I bow to the Great One. So that's what that means. All right. So this could be your very first experience with Vedic science and using mantra to connect to a deity. And by the way, I've learned deities are more powerful than angels. So as the years have gone by and I've practiced off and on and I've had things happen, and then last year when I had my connection to Vasuki and Shiva, I began to put together some information that had come to me. And that is connecting to Shiva is really connecting to the cosmos and nature and our physical reality. And when the Shiva Lingam is depicted as a male form with a yoni, the female form, we get a whole new meaning of manifesting. We are not manifesting just through our mind, but we are connecting to the sacred union of masculine consciousness and feminine Shakti energy. So it has a whole new, deeper meaning. That's what's behind it. Yes, it is, but I don't know how to get started other than mantras. Well, that's basically how I started later in my life. I decided to start listening to Ganesha, information about Ganesha, and then chants about Ganesha. And then slowly I began to learn how to chant to Ganesha. Do you have any video book recommendations? Let me think. I have read some esoteric books from yogis of the Middle East, but they didn't really discuss, as far as I can remember, the science or the benefits of chanting mantras. Autobiography of a Yogi was one. It's been so long I don't really remember what other books I might have here. I might have to make another video to get back to you on that. Okay, Maria? I am going to be teaching some very bite-sized classes that you can purchase from me for $25 just to learn one concept at a time, okay? I've got it all set up on my Ko-Fi account, my Ko-Fi, under bookings. Right now it says consultation $30, but I'm going to go back and I'm going to change that to $25, and then eventually, you know, I might have a longer class on a particular concept and charge a little bit more than that. So from me, if you feel that I have been on this journey for a very long time and I've gained a connection, which I have, and I told the priest at the temple, and he said, well, it's time for you to be on the temple path. So fortunately, I have been going to temple, and I've had things validated, and then I've had questions answered by the priest. Let's see. Oh, I connect to Shiva often. It has been with me for years. That's fantastic. When I got to that point, I had been realizing what I had been through my entire life with toxic people and one parent in particular. And as I began to understand it and remember certain events, that is when I connected to Shiva and Vasuki in a dream. And it was basically, okay, you're now ready to let go of that and step on the temple path and practice this spirituality in a grander way, instead of just being home all the time chanting to Ganesha or to the snake Lilith. I'm getting the whole energetic system. I'm amazed by the Hindu and its own science. Yes, thank you. Okay, well, I guess you had to step away for a minute. I'm amazed myself. When I was taught meditation as a young girl, and I was able to actually calm down the monkey mind and regulate my emotions, so that as I entered puberty, I could go to my room and I could sit up in the bed and I could meditate. I could relax. I didn't have to just let myself be riddled like, what was her name? Riley in Inside Out, with anxiety, to be accepted by certain people, to be approved by certain people, to be liked by certain groups, this and that, and then running the risk of losing the friends that you've already got, right? And sometimes we lose them, right? Because that's a lesson we had to learn when we're younger. But when we don't learn how to manage these types of emotions when we're younger, this becomes our personality. And this is how Riley was able to actually stop it with the intervention of her higher self, Joy, who came in and hit the button and said, "You are not your anxiety. You have joy, you have peace, you have creativity, and you have a way to accept certain things that you cannot change right now." She did not get what she wanted, no matter how hard she tried. And this is ego. This is searching for identity as you become a teenager. So thank you very much for the thumbs up. There are many benefits to meditation. This is the foundation of, I think, any magical tradition, pretty much, that you would ever study, except perhaps stellar magic. When I have manifested after connecting to Shiva, because this is about alignment, okay? If you are going to start working with Lakshmi, I recommend that you do it regularly. You may have another deity that you would like to also work with, alternate. But for me, it's always been at least 6 months to a year that I have focused, because once you connect to that deity through the mantra and something happens and you make note of it, you don't think of it as a fluke, it happens again, you start to get validation that this is a real current that you have tapped into. That's what you're doing. You're tapping into a current. The oldest system current that is known to be on the earth, over 4,300 years old. Older than that. And the Sanskrit language is very powerful. It's designed to vibrate in certain ways with each letter and each phrase to magnify your intent. You're calling to the deity in a very higher frequency. Now, for offerings, you can, in the beginning, you can just offer a candle if that's all you have. Fire is very, very powerful. But, as you graduate into learning about offerings, I don't know if you can tell, one of the things that we were putting on the little Lakshmi and Puja was turmeric. And I left it on there. So every day you can say, "Thank you, Lakshmi, for granting my request. I didn't want to struggle and worry about having food anymore." You can put it in a ramekin or even these little candle holders from Dollar Tree. Over here I have rice. That's another big thing that we have at temple. You can also chant Om Mahalakshmi Namaha, Om Mahalakshmi Namaha, Om Mahalakshmi Namaha. And she is here, right? You're calling her. And there's your offering. Just a little bit. After a couple of chantings, you keep chanting, right? I recommend you do that for at least 10 minutes. You may start having dreams. I can tell you that at temple, being on the temple path, one of the things that I've learned that I wanted to share with you is something called prasad or prasad. That's food. Anna is a word for food in Hindu, and it is sacred. It's considered sacred. When we go to temple, we bring food. It's almost like potluck every time you go to temple. It's not just a way of giving offering to the deity, because we take a lot of that back. There's more to that. All right. This goes deeper. I just wanted to share with you that everyone who brings prasad, when we're done and priest gives back some of the fruits or some of the nuts to everyone, and then it's, let's go eat, let's go have prasad. You don't ever have to leave there hungry. And maybe you just brought a couple of bananas. Maybe you just brought a little tiny bowl of cooked rice. That's the practice. So I always take something. Lately, I've been actually taking flowers, because I've heard many years ago from a yogi that flowers are from heaven. And many people bring flowers, either alone or with their prasad. But food is a very, very big part of this practice. So I wanted to share that with you. Don't know what time it is. I have a sweet potato in the microwave. Is there anybody else here? You learned something interesting, or is there something you want to ask? Now's the time for questions. Now's the time for me being quiet. Let's see if somebody has something to share, please. Oh, I was going to make a community post and I forgot. Okay. I got a really pretty thumbnail that I want to use for this particular live. Do you like me coming on here? I like coming on to the lives. I really feel this is how I'm going to be finding people who are interested, who want to share, or who are starting to practice. Yes, I learned a lot and felt interactive. You're like the top fan for this live. So if you go to my Ko-fi account, KO-FI, which is in the description here under this video, you should see the link, which would be Ko-fi, KO-FI /casting cauldron. And there you would see the categories. I have a shop with oils that I have made. And then I have Candle Services, which I think I don't know if I'm going to keep that or not. And then I have the booking section. So that's where you would book for a class if you are interested in learning more about what Vedic science is, where it actually comes from. What type of mantras should you start with? How long should you do it? Now, in the beginning, I was, they say it was like 2018, I believe. I had started listening to mantras for Oshun. And then I think it was either the latter part of 2018 or the beginning of 2019 that I really started listening to Ganesha. And I was primarily listening. This was a language I didn't really know. The only thing I'd ever really chanted was Eem, and then later in my life, Om. So you could start with Om. Do that for 5-10 minutes a day for several weeks. And then as you start listening to the mantras on videos on YouTube to Lakshmi, the simple ones, right? Om Maha Lakshmi Namaha, things like that, you can start to learn how to speak the mantras. And then look at the titles, because some of them will say wealth and abundance, material. There are certain words that are going to include another type of energy. And this is what I would go over in my online class. So yeah, learning about the science, okay? Mantras affect your brain when you chant them. They also can stimulate the chakras in your body even further. They can help you get in touch to higher realms, higher frequencies, other dimensions where the deities are. You know, it's like knocking on their door, I guess, right? Ringing the doorbell. And then you have to have an intention. I think every magical system talks about always having an intention. Either you want to fill your refrigerator and your freezer, your pantry, or both, or you want to learn gardening, how to grow some of your own food. What's the best way to make sure that I am not ever feeling left out in the cold when it comes to being able to get resources of food without constantly going to friends or strangers, or, you know what I mean? God bless the child who has their own. So if nobody else has anything, you know, you have a way to have some of your own. Now, one thing that I have had to do in the past off and on is go to food banks. You know, I'm not too proud to say it. I've been on economic assistance off and on throughout my life. When you are involved with people that don't have the energy or the wherewithal or the will to actually do more to try to assist and bring more into the household. In my case, I was married to a narcissist. They love anything and everything that they can get from other people, especially if it's free and they don't have to pay for it. I never really liked it, and that was one of my motivations for growing a garden. Now, when I moved here, I had to give extra money, and I found out that the food banquet was right up the road. And I started utilizing that so that I could recoup some of the extra money that I had spent to move in here. So, you know, there's times when we have setbacks in life and we have to start over many, many times in life. But each time we can learn lessons, and we need to ask ourselves, you know, what did we learn? So for now, I'd say this is your introduction to Vedic science, mantras. What is a mantra? What does it do? How do you use it? And, you know, where do you start and for how long? I started by printing off a picture of Ganesha in 2019 when I got to the point that I really wanted to focus on the deity and learn how to chant to the deity. Basically, after that, I was practicing once again alone with this new system for about a year. Then the Hindu temple was built, and I went up there, but they didn't have a priest, so they didn't know what to do with me. And there's a white lady here who wants to learn Hinduism. So I went back home and I continued connecting to Ganesha and really just knowing how to chant to Ganesha for a while. So in about, it helped me through 2020, by the way, with lockdown. I quit watching the news, chanted to Ganesha, moved from there in 2021, got his picture out, started connecting with him again. And then I actually connected to another goddess, and then Lilith, which is the snake. And from there, as I had new challenges in my life, I began to feel connected to snake energy. There were two things that I had been focusing on from 2020, and I'm only going to share this in a class, okay, that helped me, what's the word? Ascend? Release. Okay, because Ganesh is the one that's going to help you regulate your emotions, heal your memories. And at some point, he'll open the gate and say, all right, you ready to meet Shiva? But there were two symbols that I had been led to have in my life, in my house, that helped me achieve that. Symbols are the language of the subconscious mind. And that is what I will be sharing if you are interested in learning how in this life to combine your north node, right? To get your south node to really connect to your north node, which is, they say that's what you should be working towards in this life. Meditation is that foundation for this house. That's what got me there. By learning how to sit quietly, and I call it contemplation and coffee now because it's become such a big habit for me. Learning how to sit still. Learning how to visualize what you need, call on what you need. It becomes a habit. After several years, you no longer have to have any type of extensive practice of any kind, really. I normally would just lay down on the bed and look at a candle or the reflection of a candle flame in a picture. Very powerful, guys. Very powerful. That has primarily been my practice for many, many years. And this is what Shiva is about. You do not have to have any type of pujas or rituals at this point or ever until you decide that you actually want to start stepping onto the temple path. Okay? All right. You're very welcome, Maria, Sabina. I see you said thank you and blessings. I guess you had to go. Anytime that anybody has to go, please say, I gotta go, thanks, bye-bye. Give me hearts. Give me waving hands. And I believe I'm at 938 subscribers. I thought I was closer to 1,000. You'll have to check and see. I'm working to get to 1,000. Now that doesn't necessarily mean I'll be able to have, monetary donations come up here. Depends on if YouTube allows that for smaller channels. I've been on for so long that if I didn't reach a certain level by the first 90 days, unless you have 1,000 subscribers, you're not going to have a chance. But there is my link. If you want to go and make a donation, there's a place to do that. If you appreciate my teaching here on the live, there's a place to give $5. If you want to be a monthly supporter, you can do that for $7. And you can request a video. I think there's a place for a message. Can you please make a video for me personally as a supporter to explain such and such? And I will post that video onto a post that is listed only to be viewed by supporters. Okay? So that's another way that you can periodically ask me a question or request a video about something. But you have to show me some consideration by making a monetary donation. And then I will make the announcement about creating a class that you can take with me on Zoom, where you can start to learn specifically about Hinduism, Sanatana Dharma, Vedic science, and even the history that I have been recently led to understand about this system. Because there are maybe you know this, there is no original type of system or religion. People learn things from others, they adapt, they adopt. That's all I'm going to say right now, because Hinduism is unique in that it's never really sought to completely change things. It's preserved a lot of other things. And you might end up finding more about yourself and your culture than you thought. I will leave it at that. But the clue for you would be, why do I talk about Oshun? And why do I have Oshun and Ganesha together? That's your clue. All right. So I'm going to get back into my regular clothes and probably go up to the food banquet. Because from time to time I go over there. I'm too tired to cook dinner. And I've been able to, in my case, stay more stable in my finances by utilizing these other things. So thank you so much for coming. Blessed be. Namaste. You'll learn about what that means. And have a wonderful rest of the week. Hopefully comments will be viewed after this uploads. Otherwise, you can have questions on the comment board once the video has been uploaded. Thank you for coming. Have a good rest of the week. Talk to you soon.